Hi, I'm Toni Heath.
I'm Joe Heath.
And this is Burn Notice Noticed, a cyberbullying podcast where we personally victimize Bri and Chris by reviewing their podcast, Burn, Noticed.
Yeah.
I'm a little bitter.
I'm into it. I'm into it. They're stupid. Hey, you guys seen your faces? They're real dumb.
Cyberbullying. That is a harsh accusation to be throwing around, but
fair.
But I can do it if you want.
You're ready to fight.
A little bit.
There was a bit in this episode where they were like, if you have any ideas for things we can do between seasons, I had an idea, which is we fucking fight.
We just fight them. No, it's fine.
Should we say what we're talking about today?
Yeah.
Today, we're talking about episode 10 of Burn, Noticed, which is about episode 10 of Burn Notice, which is called False Flag.
Do you think Matt Nix feels personally victimized by the existence of Burn, Noticed?
Yeah, they're cyberbullying Matt Nix.
Yeah, Burn, Noticed, a cyberbullying podcast.
How dare you be so rude to Matt Nix and sometimes Jeffrey Donovan?
From what I've heard from the podcast, he probably deserves it.
Yeah, this episode...
It's messy. There's some messy things in here. Would you like to hear about it?
Yes.
Here are my notes. I gotta make a sound with the notes so you know that I'm holding them.
Oh, I edit that out.
It's so important.
Nah, I don't edit it out. Or do I?
I don't know. I will never listen to the podcast. I was really far away from the mic because I was burping. That's why I leaned so far away. In case you were wondering.
Leaving that in.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Are you ready to recount the plot of False Flag?
Yeah, I'm also, super fucking tired.
Yeah, you had a headache from, 2 until 4 a.m.
Yeah, I did not sleep at all.
Well, I was like, are you okay?
Thank you for that support in that trying time.
I was trying to support you in that time.
I'm looking at my notes and my brain is just like, there's so much of it. Okay, here it is. Mr. Burn Notice is going to go to DC to confront the person who tried to kill him in the last episode, but he needs some fake identification to do it. In the cold open, he goes to the fake ID store, but the fake ID man tries to arrest him? But Fee saves him. That's the whole cold open. It's fine. Mr. Burn Notice goes to Lucy for fake ID stuff, who is not played by Lucy Lawless, which I found confusing. She will give him some fake ID stuff if he takes on the case of the week.
The cow.
The cow. So the case of the week is to track down cowgirl Evelyn's shady ex and get her son back.
Cowgirl Evelyn is played by
Lucy Lawless. Mr. Burn Notice gets horny for Evelyn over their shared trauma, and this makes Fee mad. She quits the case of the week. They find the ex's house, and bad guys chase them out of there with guns after they look inside of it for a little bit. That didn't seem like it did much. They figure out where the ex is staying. He's staying in a cabin in a park. They go there, but then there's a plot twist, and the ex is actually the good guy, and Evelyn is actually Evelyn. Which I can say without consequence. No thank you. They get away so they can have a worse confrontation later. They're there and there's a confrontation there, and then it's but then they get away, and then later there's a confrontation on the roof.
How do they get away? Because it's really cool.
Is it?
You don't remember how they get away?
No, it's definitely in the podcast. I just didn't write it down. I just wrote down they get away. I think there's explosions involved.
Yeah. They blow up the car. They throw a gas canister and blow it up.
Yeah. There's 100% in the podcast. I think it was even in, I go through my notes and I separate out the plot stuff and the rest of the notes.
Right.
And sometimes I'm just this is the bare bones of what happened. Yeah, they blew up some shit. They got away. They have a more boring confrontation with less explosions on a roof with Evelyn because she's threatening to kill everyone because she's super evil.
It's not on a roof.
She jumps off the roof. Lucy almost gets run over, and then later they're on the roof.
Yeah, they talk. Yeah, they have a conversation at a restaurant. Or
okay, but
outside.
It's not important. It does nothing. They're on the roof. She jumps off the roof, and then it's over. That's it. That's the end.
Right.
They have a conversation on the roof, and she's like, "Oh no, I've been bested. Time to die now."
Yeah, it's bullshit.
I mean, that's it. That's what happens. Doesn't sound like a great episode.
The thing is, it's half a great episode and half a crappy episode. Everything with Lucy Lawless is great until she kills herself, and then it's what the fuck, why?
The thing is, when they were describing it, I was like, well, this is some Reichenbach shit. Nobody throws himself off a roof without, like, having a plan. Like, I died, but you didn't see the body, and I'm gonna come back next season.
Yeah, but no. Because you hear the body hit, and you hear someone go, ah! Like they saw a body just smack in front of them.
That is weird and messed up. And it's, like, also not, like, the process by which people make decisions.
Also, I think this is the second female bad guy we've had that winds up dead.
Yeah, it seems like when they are female bad guys, it's like, just blow it up. Just blow them up. Just blow them up.
It's not cool. And, like, she was very interesting, and I would love to have seen more of her. But I should rank.
Yes.
It's good.
Thanks.
Solid. They did a good job. You did a good job. Congrats.
Yeah, the things that...
no cyberbullying from me.
We have no criticisms of any kind. That's not true. I have a lot of criticisms, specifically in this episode. Let's talk about them.
All right.
First of all, a question. The beginning half of this episode is very reference heavy to our podcast.
Like the cyberbullying and all that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, which is, they've made a conscious decision not to reference our podcast. Bri gets very close, not only with the cyberbullying, but, like, there's a lot of questions in this episode that are specifically asked of us to answer, I believe.
I'm not going to do it. Actually, now I've got answers.
Do you think, yes, I do also. Do you think that the existence of Burn Notice Noticed is derailing Burn, Notice?
God, I hope so.
I feel like we are starting to affect the integrity of the show. And I don't know how I feel about that.
Did it have that much integrity to begin with?
Well, now careful what you say.
Or we're cyberbullying.
Or Bri will report you to the cyberbullying police. I'm not bitter, it's fine.
If they have so much integrity, apparently, then they should be able to withstand this.
Well, yeah, no, obviously, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is, like...
Should we stop the podcast?
I'm talking about we're
feelings.
having an actual effect on the podcast we're reviewing.
Yeah.
And that's weird, and we should think about it for a minute. It's weird, right? Another way in which I know, like, we are definitely... Because, like, for a while there, we do these when they release them.
Right.
We, like, listen to them, and then...
We record them.
We record them the same day.
That's the general way most podcasts record things.
I mean, we do it the same day.
Right.
Or as close to it as we can. They record, like, a handful at a time. They've got them, like, in the can. So, like, everything we've listened to up until this point, like, we've definitely reached a point where they've listened to a good chunk of the podcast. I wonder where it's, like, if it's going to spiral out from here.
There's only one way to find out.
It's just keep doing it.
Yeah, keep going. Keep doing it.
There's one more thing I'm a little bitter about.
They stole our joke?
They're stealing our bits!
Yeah. We did Burn Daddies.
We coined Burn Daddies. That is a Burn Notice original.
And Bri just casually uses Burn Daddies like it's her bit, and it's not her bit. It's our bit.
It's our bit. Burn, Noticed. Also our bit. Also referenced in this episode.
That I'll give them.
I mean, that is the actual title of it, but saying comma is my thing.
I'm more mad about Burn Daddies. Like, they can use Burn Daddies, but acknowledge
that's the thing, like, they
it's
can't...
our bit.
They have made the rules that they've decided to not acknowledge our thing. So, like, when Bri used it on Twitter, I was like, she was referring to her followers as #Burn Daddies, and I was like, we coined Burn Daddies for followers of Burn Notice Noticed. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about that. But then she used it on the podcast, and I was like, well, now...
Also, she talks about Michael Wilson, who is the consultant, which we talked about.
We did.
In, like, episode 1.
We did. Chris even says, I think I heard this on another podcast. Again, referencing us without referencing us.
And she's trying to pass it off as her own thing. And the thing is, you even had more information than she did. Which is that, yes, there was a person that did consulting on the show, and he's credited as Michael Wilson, but that's probably an alias.
Yeah.
That's not his real name, because he's a spy. Because
he's a spy. He used to be a spy. Anyway, that's this new segment of the podcast I'm calling I've Got Beef.
Well, you should call it Where's the Beef? or Here's the Beef.
It's right here. I've got it.
Is that all the beef you have?
Yeah, that's it. I do have in my notes like, the next thing is, like, 3 chunks of information about foil embossing.
Let's go for it.
Okay, here's the thing. Foil embossing. Apparently there's only, like, one place in Miami, which isn't even a reference to this episode. It's a reference to an earlier episode. There's, like, 5 places that do foil embossing near us. That being said, the question that they asked wasn't, like, that was the question that they had asked before that I think I had answered. The question they asked this time was, like, how easy is it? Like, what do you need to do to foil emboss something? And really what you need is, like, a sticker, like a foil sticker, and, like, a emboss press. It's like a big stamp. It's got a handle on one side. You squeeze it, it embosses it. Whatever seal is on there. Or you could buy little, like, pre-embossed things online. Now, this came out in 2008. E-commerce wasn't exactly, like, it was just getting started at that point, I believe. But you can pick up foil stickers and a hand embosser at Office Depot. Foil embossing's super easy. You can spend, like, $30 at Home Depot and be able to do it at your house.
Here's some answers I've got. They asked, is Super Ninjas the show Ben Blacker works on? The answer is yes. Also, someone named Ben Acker also worked on the show, who I'm not entirely convinced isn't the same person, because they have some of the same credits. And I don't know if someone just messed up when making the IMDb page.
Or they just work together and fucking hate each other.
Or love each other.
Right.
Blacker and Acker.
I mean, that is a good sitcom for sure. Who's going to answer that question? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, who's going to answer, is Ben Blacker and Ben Acker the same person? That's up to you, Burn Daddies. Please figure this out.
Burn Daddies, a Burn Notice, copyright.
Chris Cherry could not remember the name of the comedian who played Janice Cramps on Comedy Bang Bang. Her name is Mary Holland. Chris did not know the name of the song at the beginning of this episode, so I did some research, which means I just went to the IMDb and it had a list of the songs in the episode. I don't know why you didn't look there first. And there was a couple of songs listed, and then I went and listened to the song in the episode itself just to make sure, because there was 2 songs listed, and it was definitely one of them.
You were talking to me about it, and you said there were no lyrics in this song.
I didn't say there were no. I said they were hard to understand lyrics.
Oh, okay.
But I could definitely hear the words "Undercover Love" in the lyrics.
Got it.
And that is the name of the song. It is Undercover Love by Amy Correa Bell and Pablo Rodriguez Escobar.
Can I tell you that I also, like, the route I went was to just go to, like, Burn Notice soundtrack, and, like, but I didn't watch the episode, so I just listened to a lot of the Burn Notice soundtrack. And can I tell you what, like, pure music hell that was?
Why did you listen? You don't even know what the song sounds like.
Yeah, no, I don't.
This was a bad idea.
It was a bad idea, and it was a bad time all around.
Also, that song's not on it, so...
Yeah, I've figured that after listening to almost the whole soundtrack.
So while I did find the name and who did it, I cannot find the actual song. I can't find it, like, on Amazon or anywhere like that. I can't find an actual clip of it. I found music by her.
Did you look on YouTube?
But, yeah, I did. She's got new music. But I think maybe this was like a case of sometimes people will make music just to be licensed in shows and movies. A famous example of that is that the Magic song from Ghostbusters was just a song a dude made. Like, it was just some people put together, and they've just made a handful of songs just to be licensed for movies and TV shows, and it just, like, sat there for a while until it got put into Ghostbusters, and now it's, like, really popular, and nobody knows who did it, and it's because he's like, I don't really do music now, so... But now it's, like, a very popular song, but it's just something that was made
I
for
can
that
tell
purpose.
you everything, like, every music in Burn Notice is some royalty-free bullshit.
It's all, like, pseudo, like, Latin music.
It's a bad, bad time.
Yeah, it's real bad. I have Bri is 100% correct about Evelyn, and I'm not even going to look it up. What the fuck, Chris?
Oh, I actually have a lot. Okay, so here's the thing. I did look it up because I was curious.
Uh-huh.
There's one thing that popped up right away. There is only one place where I could find that anyone said Evil Lynn, and that, like, Evil Lynn, that's 2 L's. There's only 1 L. But there's one place that people say Evil Lynn, and it is a He-Man character.
Yeah, Chris. It's a He-Man character.
If Chris heard Evil Lynn anywhere, that's where it was.
You a fan of He-Man, Chris? It's all coming out now.
Yeah, that's the only explanation I could find. I did find something else that, like, shook me to my core.
What's
which
that?
was I just Googled, like, Evelyn pronunciation, right? I ended up on Nameberry, And there was somebody who was like, I've heard it pronounced Evelyn and Everlyn. Everlyn.
No. Try again.
And everyone else in, like, the thread was like, I've never heard Everlyn? I don't know what you're talking about. It's definitely Evelyn. But I couldn't, like, discern, like, where any of these people, like, what, if it was, like, a regional thing. So there's definitely different pronunciations of it. Then there was somebody else who said that they did hear Evelyn on Downton Abbey. So I could imagine that if Chris watched Downton Abbey and heard Evelyn, and that became Evelyn.
That's possible.
And that's why he was like, no, British people say it that way.
I could see Chris watching Downton Abbey before I could see Chris watching He-Man.
That's probably true.
And he did specifically say, I think British people say it, so.
Yeah. So, Downton Abbey, probably where it came from.
Yeah, but that show's
But
wrong.
even that is Evelyn.
Evelyn?
Yeah, not Evelyn.
Is it two separate words?
No, I mean, it's the name Evelyn.
But just pronounced Evelyn?
But just pronounced Evelyn.
Well, now I'm confused. Okay.
And some people say Everlyn.
No, they don't. No, they don't. All right, I have two more answers to questions. Boca Raton is 43 miles north of Miami, so about an hour away.
What was the question?
Well, like, because someone, like, goes to Boca Raton, like, is that, like, even, like...
Is that far?
Is that far?
It's about an hour away. Got it.
Yeah. Chris was wondering if Lucy Lawless was busy doing some other show, which is why she couldn't, like, come back or whatever. She definitely was doing Battlestar Galactica at this point. I don't think she was, like, a regular, at least from what I could gather from IMDb, but she was there for, like, a year before and a year after this show aired, this episode aired, so, and the episode that year as well. So, she was definitely probably doing Battlestar Galactica, but...
Who did she play in Battlestar?
No idea, don't remember.
I used to watch, well, my dad used to watch it, and I would, like, occasionally watch it with him, but not... You know, like, where you're like, I didn't for, like, a week, and now, or, like, 2 weeks, and now I'm confused.
Right. I watched the pilot, and then I think that might be it. I wanted to watch more, but my parents weren't into it, so. My dad was, like, mad about the Cylons not looking like the original Cylons.
No toasters.
He's like, they're called Cylons because they got one eye. And it bothered him. Though I do want to say, they talk about Lucy Lawless, and they never... I don't think they once mentioned the Bruce Campbell connection. Lucy Lawless and Bruce Campbell are, like, really good friends. Like, they both were on Xena together. Before that, they were on Hercules. Because Hercules and Xena are both produced by Sam Raimi, who did the Evil Dead series. And, of course, Lucy Lawless was also in Ash vs. the Evil Dead with Bruce Campbell. They've, like, been friends for, like, years. You should see them in interviews. They're adorable. They got, like, a really good repartee.
Neat.
Hey, this is neat.
I do wonder if, like, all of the questions in this episode were, like, I feel like we're a trivia podcast now.
Yeah, we are now. Thanks. It's your fault. But they do. They work really well together. Like, she's one of the best characters on Ash vs. the Evil Dead because she does so much fun. And that's the thing that's kind of sad about this episode is her and Bruce Campbell don't really have any scenes together. Nothing I remember. That's kind of a bummer. Because they got such good chemistry. I
do have one note that it's short, but I do want to get to it. I just have written down, let's talk about Burn Notice khaki suit. I hate it. I hate it, and I don't understand why everyone's so into this khaki-suited toast man. There's, like, two people who are, like, flirting with him and fighting over him, and I'm like, why?
I don't get it either.
But specifically, I really hate the khaki suit. It is ugly.
So many opinions about the visuals of a show you've never seen.
I have seen pictures of the khaki suit, and I talked about it in the episode. It's bad. It's bad. He's a boring person. Why is everyone so attracted to him?
Because he's the star of the show? There's a lower bar for men.
He's like a boring person to begin with, but then he just, like, really wants to emphasize it by his dress.
Oh, I wanted to make a suggestion.
Okay.
We've been referring to Mr. Bone Notice.
Yeah.
Well, we originally called him Michael, then we called him Burn Notice, then we called him Bone Notice.
Yes.
I would like to suggest we now start calling him Emotional Stew.
I'll consider it. We've faffed about with trivia and nonsense. We haven't talked about probably the best thing to happen in the serial.
I want to say everything great about this Cereal? You've been doing Doctor Who for too long.
This episode of a podcast.
Everything that's great about this episode of a podcast is very sexual.
That's true. It is. And I would like to take this moment to reiterate that we record this podcast and listen to Burn, Noticed
At work
on our lunch breaks.
Let's mention. I want to mention a couple of the less great bits to leave the greatest bit for last.
You want to build up to it.
Yeah, I want to build up to the climax.
Get a little foreplay in. That's fine.
Tickled by titties was real funny. It's alliterative.
Yeah.
And fun. I know Chris has a problem with that word, so I'm surprised he said it so many times.
It is my understanding that Chris will do anything that makes himself uncomfortable if it also makes Bri uncomfortable.
So yeah, let's talk about...
They're in like a weird game of uncomfortable chicken.
The second thing is Chris does a really great bit about emotional stew's gun and how it is a metaphor for his penis.
Yeah.
Did it remind you of anything?
Yeah, go ahead, talk about it.
Chris once wrote an entire essay about sexuality in my work, the films that I had made, my short videos and my web series, Monsters Anonymous, and my web series, The Protection of the Project. He wrote an entire essay about it, and it was great. It was all Freudian nonsense. And I got official British person, Ben Padden.
Official British person, Ben Padden.
To narrate it, and I made a whole video of it.
Do you remember the like period of time where you're like, I'm gonna get a celebrity to read this, and all of your friends were like, why? What are you talking about? And you're like, no, I've just emailed several celebrities to see if they will read this. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? And then eventually you were like, Ben Padden's a celebrity, right?
Ben Padden's celebrity light. He's got a British accent, which covers...
I don't know why you got this idea in your head.
I reached out to Werner Herzog.
You fucking weirdo.
Because I thought it would be hilarious.
I mean, but like, in what...
universe.
Realm of the decision-making of that person would they go, yeah.
Hey, the dude that's in the... what's his name? The guy who played the Master in the Doctor Who TV movie. He was also in the Batman movies. He was also in that music video for that song that everybody loves that I just think is, like, unmemorable. Doing Just Fine, whatever the hell that song is.
Mr. Brightside.
Yeah. The guy from that did a talking cat.
This isn't a fucking movie. You realize that, like, they paid him, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't like...
It sounded like they cornered him at a con and gave him $20, but okay. I would have paid Werner Herzog.
$20?
At least 20. Anyway, it was called No Sloppy Makeouts. You should check it out. It's on YouTube.
It's run by celebrity Ben Padden.
Famous Britishman, Ben Padden. Let's get to the big thing. The climax.
I want you to talk about it because I don't want to.
Every time...
It is the funniest thing that happened in the podcast so far.
Okay, so I want to talk about it, and then that leads to another...
But I don't want to talk about it.
An implied question for us that I don't think they meant to imply, but they did, so we have to answer it. Okay.
I don't... Okay.
So every time that Chris said Evelyn...
Yes.
Instead of Evelyn...
Because he did insist on saying Evelyn.
Yeah, the first time he does that, and she's like, I'm going to do this as a repercussion. And then when she suggests that, he immediately switches to Evelyn. But then he goes back and then gets the consequences, which is that Bri makes a noise.
Bri pretends to climax every time Chris says Evelyn.
Yes, she pretends to have an orgasm. And it's hilarious.
It is really funny.
It's very awkward and uncomfortable, but hilarious.
I definitely, paused the podcast after, the second time. I was like, okay, well, this is happening. I'm gonna, do some work, and then I'm gonna listen to it again. But I'm pretty sure you can hear me laughing from your office.
At least we just heard the laughing.
Yes.
And not,
at least I was wearing headphones.
And not the event itself. So, the implied question, there's a question that, not the question, but there's something that Chris says. He's like, people are probably masturbating to this. So my question is, Toni,
what?
Did you masturbate to this episode?
Did you not? I very explicitly said at the beginning of this episode that I listened to it at work.
Yeah, that's why I'd be very surprised if you did.
No!
Me either. Okay, secondary question. Will you?
No!
It'd be real easy to just cut out those bits if you wanted to just line them up in a row.
You've put a lot of thought into this.
You put a lot of thought into foil embossing, so...
Yeah, which is fine. Which is wholesome.
I'm just saying, somebody make that supercut.
Don't. Please, don't. Don't do that.
You still didn't answer the question.
I did. I said no twice.
Did you? Okay, I wasn't listening. Alright, cool. That's all I needed to know.
I have a question.
Yes.
Which is, why is it so aggressive?
Comedy, Toni. I don't think she really does that.
I mean, the thing is, we don't know.
We don't know.
There's no...
I mean, we could ask. I'm sure Bri would let us know.
I'm good.
She did a wide range.
She did, yes.
So I'm pretty sure somewhere in there is probably the truth. We just had to figure it out.
We don't have to. No.
No, but we could.
I'm good.
Just saying, somewhere in there is probably the real deal.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a really, really funny bit, and I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I bet it was the one with the fart. Didn't she fart at one point?
What?
She made like a fart noise at the end, the very end.
I don't know, because I got embarrassed and couldn't keep listening to it.
She finished and then went, that's probably the real one.
Very embarrassed.
You are bright red right now. These are the kind of things we have to talk about.
It is. We have to.
I see we both like the Lucy Lawless jokes. That's also on my notes.
Lucy
Flawless, and then because she's lawless.
Yeah.
Those were both very good jokes. Congrats.
There was another really good joke that I liked about the other, where Chris was talking about Lucy needing to kill Lucy to tie up loose ends. And Bri was like, loosey ends?
Yes.
The amount of silence there was the right amount of silence.
It was a good joke that deserved a moment of silence for respect.
Anyway,
I think we've talked about everything.
Yeah, would you like to rate this episode?
Yeah.
Would you like to participate in the part of the podcast where we personally victimize Bri Castellini?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Was this a great episode of a podcast?
Did it change how you think about something?
It maybe changed how I think about Bri, but I won't say how.
Did it make you cry?
It did come close.
You did what?
Hurt my feelings.
I'm glad you said close at the end there.
Oh, it hurt my feelings a little bit. I didn't cry, though. Just felt sad.
Really? Because I just felt anger. And then does it flow?
I don't like that change. But yeah, it does. I think it making me laugh makes it a great... This is a great episode of a podcast because of how funny it is.
See, is laughing going back? I don't understand.
I mean, I didn't like moving laughing, but I would... Here's the deal. Do what you want. Did it flow? Yes. Did it make me cry? No. This was a great episode of a podcast.
Okay.
And I'm not just saying that because I've been cyberbullied into it. It was really funny.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. It was funny enough that it was... Anyway.
Climaxed like 5 times.
That's how I knew it was good. Is it a great episode of Burn, Noticed?
Chris and Bri, did they have a dynamic thing? Yes. Their dynamic was present in the podcast.
Yes. Bri literally called herself daddy multiple times.
As well as fake climaxing at Chris.
Specifically
times.
To make him uncomfortable. That is peak daddy dynamic.
To control him, really.
Right. To control
adjust
his behavior.
If that's not the dynamic, I don't know what is.
Do I feel like I understand what happened in the episode of Burn Notice?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you laugh?
Did I laugh? I laughed really hard. Yeah. This was a great episode of Burn, Noticed. Great episode, I think, of a podcast. I was going to give it 10 yogurts because I feel like it's a 10 yogurt episode. But my feelings are still pretty hurt, so I'm going to give it a 9 yogurt episode.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm keeping 1 yogurt for myself.
I'll chip in 1 extra yogurt to make it around 10, but it's a particularly juicy yogurt.
The fuck does that mean?
You'll see. That's it. I think we're done here, right?
Yeah. I got work to do, so.
All right. Thanks for listening. This has been Burn Notice Noticed, your favorite podcast.
About your other favorite podcast.
Burn Noticed.
I forgot what my sign-off was.
We always end in, just getting more and more frustrated with each other, but we didn't do it this time.
No. I'm okay with you today. You know what? You know what it is. We were united in where our frustration was aimed today.
We want to fight. Calling you out, Bri and Chris. We're fighting.
We're not. We're fine.
this Tuesday at 8 p.m. in
I will-
the parking lot
I
behind the
will-
Piggly Wiggly.